إذا كانت هذه مجموعة ديال الأسئلة ديال المواطنين اللي تتساءلوا على هذه الورقة اللي توصلوا بها على الخروج ولا كيفاش يكون الخروج. كذلك كان عندنا سؤال.
Since the beginning of the coronavirus outbreak, Moroccan media have covered the pandemic and lockdown restrictions thoroughly. Television and radio programs explained safety measures and took questions from their audiences. They both reassured the public and kept them on their toes. Broadcasts and online media channels alike provided insight and kept track of the number of infected people, deaths, recoveries, and the region they belonged to. Moroccan media adapted their coverage to multiple languages. News stories were delivered in Arabic, French, English, and Tamazight, the indigenous language also known as Berber. In this report, we'll look at the various ways the Moroccan media covered the pandemic, from providing a platform for the government communications to covering educational changes and controversies to addressing new surveillance programs and combating the spread of fake news.
الناس غادي يوصلوهم التعويضات ديالهم والطريقه كيفاش غادي يوصلوهم الناس ديال الغامض والناس ديال لا سينسيس نهار الاربعاء.
Mainstream media shared information about the monthly assistance offered by the Moroccan government to employees in social security system as well who were people who work in the informal sector. However, some people benefited from the support while others did not, and those that did not made their voices heard through the media. While mainstream media outlets devoted countless hours of coverage to the topic, sensationalist YouTube channels such as Shouf TV went into the streets to search for stories of anger and frustration among people lacking access to the latest information. Social media influencers and public figures sometimes filled in the gap. YouTuber Taher, who has 1.4 million subscribers, released a video to educate people on how to take precautions against the spread of the COVID-19.
La seule solution ديالو هو أننا نبقاو في الدار وأننا نربحوا الماكسيموم دو طون بيد ما يخرجوا لي فاكسان بيد ما يخرجوا دي سوليوشن جداد إن شاء الله باش نتفاداو هذا الكورونا فيروس.
During the crisis, the Moroccan government opted for transparency to earn the trust of the people. They did this by establishing a communication channel with the media through daily press conferences headed by the Ministry of Health. The aim was to keep the media in touch with government action and the latest information. But it led to a new set of challenges for the media, as proper communication protocols weren't always clear. According to Media24, the Q&A sessions are often hectic as the speaker struggles to answer inquiries from journalists. Furthermore, the time and venue of the session has been changed many times on a short notice.
In this crisis, public health was not prepared, public communication was not prepared. The government make some mistakes on giving us data.
Youth in Morocco also struggled with the challenges the global pandemic brought. When the state of emergency was declared on March 16, schools and universities closed, forcing students and educators to adapt to remote teaching. At the same time, the government cancelled entrance exams in all employment domains, except health, education and security, including government employees in the Ministry of Interior and the National Defense Office. All hiring in the public sector is frozen for a period of 3 years. This economic outlook offered little hope to graduating students and their families.
This announcement shocked me, to be honest, because I am one of the students who just graduated this year and I was planning to look for a job in the same job market that will be closed following the announcement. Official narratives regarding virtual classrooms created by the ministry state they were used by 99.11% of students in public schools and 46.11% in private schools. There are other means that schools use such as WhatsApp and even YouTube channels to share information with all students.
Not all students and their parents were happy with the online class experience. Some claimed it can never be comparable to face-to-face learning. A standoff erupted when parents asked private schools to be flexible on fees since families have been seriously affected financially by the crisis. But schools refused to lower fees and the fight was covered in the media.
غيديروا واحد الوساطة باش ما نطيحوش في هذا المشكل. هذه القضية ديال عدم التسجيل الحرمان ديالهم من الشهادة.
Minister of National Education Aida has promised to intervene to request subsidies for schools in difficulty from the special fund dedicated to the management of the crisis. Morocco started the usage of drones in February 2020 for road surveillance. Since the lockdown, however, drones are now used for aerial surveillance, spraying disinfectants, and broadcasting information on COVID-19.
Ils ont présenté des solutions pour aider notre pays pour combattre la pandémie.
The Moroccan public isn't reacting to the use of drones as much as in other countries, either because people aren't that concerned with privacy invasion or because they lack access to information about the program. On the other hand, the Moroccan government launched a coronavirus contact tracing app called Wiqayatna, taking measures to protect users' privacy. According to Law 1915 of the Moroccan State of Privacy, the public has the right to data protection.
كورونا حرب ضد الأخبار الزائفة لا تساهل مع من يروج لأي خبر زائف.
At a time when reliable information is crucial for public health, fake news about COVID-19 could spread even faster than the facts. These can create a feeling of fear and panic among the population. The Moroccan press agency posted on its website a new platform dedicated to supplying the latest verified and credible news related to coronavirus. Spreading false information has led the Moroccan government to apply a firm policy towards the creators and disseminators of misinformation. The government has proposed a new law to fight fake news and cybercrime, while protecting the freedom of digital communication guaranteed by the Constitution. Some internet users protested on Twitter because they considered the law a threat to freedom of expression.
When we have the mainstream media controlled by self-censorship and censorship, the Moroccans' only space when they can express their freedom of expression is the social media. Yes, there was circulation of fake news in Morocco. In my point of view, it's not the first threat. It was the lack of access to information for the media and for the public.
And I think the climate anyway is not ideal for freedom of expression, and any kind of laws like that can be used anyway. The authorities want to use them.
In Algeria, the government approved a bill amending the country's penal code to criminalize the spreading of false news. Police and national gendarmerie published statements about arrested citizens who spread fake news on social media regarding COVID-19. In both Algeria and Morocco, press freedoms are potentially impacted by the crackdown on fake news. The International Press Institute noted that Morocco's print newspapers were ordered to suspend operations during the lockdown, meaning that distribution of news was impacted. The scourge of fake news is not just a North African problem, but a global phenomenon. UNESCO stated that out of 112 million social media posts related to the pandemic in 64 languages, 40% came from unreliable sources. People who receive their news primarily through social media are more likely to be exposed to false content. As the director of World Health Organization said, "We're not just fighting an epidemic, we're fighting an infodemic."
The Moroccan media acted admirably in adapting to a fast-changing story. However, the pandemic proved to be a challenge to both the government and the media in providing consistent, reliable information to the public.